All right, what is up, folks? Welcome back to the 1v1 action. Who would have thought that it'd be even more 1v1s? You know, we've got to find a way to get some team games in. But for now, we've got some more Viper gameplay. You guys love this. You've been seeing him spam out that China. He is lethal, the way he's been evolving it. And we're going to get to see how he does in a mirror matchup. Someone brave has stepped up and said, I will beat your China with China, sir. Yeah. Let's see who's more Zen-like. Let's see who is in the final form. As it is going to be Zanmato playing up against him. That is right, guys. We've had StarCraft players. We've had Age of Empires 2 players. Now we are having Final Fantasy abilities that literally materialize into actual human beings and come to play Age of Empires 4. I'm kidding. Or am I? I don't know. Maybe that is what happened. Maybe that's why it's so powerful. Because Zanmato is actually Vortex. Vortex, for those that are unfamiliar, very talented player. I think he was, if I recall correctly, I want to say he was a Warcraft player as well, right? Because he's a retired StarCraft player, I know that much. But I think him and his brother Lucifron, because, yep, that's right, you remember that guy from the channel as well. They're actually bros, and they were both originally Warcraft players, actually like central people to the community. Everyone and their mum knew who they were. So definitely very experienced players despite being retired, and definitely very talented. We've seen both Lucifron and Vortex keep up in those leaderboard rankings. In fact, if I was to quickly whip open the leaderboards for us, I'm pretty sure Vortex was like top 20 still. Vortex is sitting 17th right now. Lucifron, we've been seeing him play a lot the last few days, is sitting at 6th. So that gives you an idea how skilled these individuals are. They're actually amazing players. It's impressive that someone can like switch that many games, they can be around that many years, and they're still at the top of the game in peak performance. So Viper has definitely got a battle ahead of him. So looking at the openers so far, similar, really. Like, the mill's the difference, right? Wood already the priority, but both of them, similar prioritization to gold, right? Yeah, 3 people from both of them. We did see a matchup where I think it was the Muslim tried to utilize just gold collection and ignored gathering gold early, but I'm not a big fan of that. I much prefer this. I think it's a more efficient play, and then instead just keep your Imperial Official working on getting that additional drop-off as opposed to bringing back that trickle of cash. Bring back that trickle of cash later when you're like Castle Age. Occasionally do it like this when it's this close, but if it's further off, it doesn't feel worthwhile to send your Imperial Official all the way off to collect that tax. That being said, Zanmato, definitely going to be doing that, so Vortex gathers from the mining camp. Imperial Official has not been built yet from Viper. Interesting opening, considering how much he plays China, that he doesn't feel like he wants an Imperial Official this early. I wonder if he sticks one in now. He could get a quicker tech up time. Remember, we talked about, like, Feudal Age isn't exactly an amazing boom for China. The only reason Feudal Age is an amazing boom is when you go and get the second landmark at Feudal Age and you unlock the Song Dynasty so that you can produce villages quicker. Other than that, it doesn't really serve much of a purpose other than an anti-rush tool. So unless you're concerned your opponent is going to anti-rush, you shouldn't really be freaking out over your tech up timing. That being said, Viper definitely behind. But this might fix it. So, this is a cool switch-up, by the way. I don't know if it's because of his starting location or because he's up against another China player. I think it's half-half influence this. Viper is going for the Imperial Academy as an opener. We never see... This is the first time I've seen a top 200 player on these replays outside of maybe the first week when everyone was just, you know, clambering over each other, making whoopsie-daisies here and there. Outside that timing... Like, the last 3 weeks, whatever, this is the first time I've seen a high-level player go for the Imperial Academy first in a 1v1. And meanwhile, Zanmato going for the Barbican the Sun, that does mean that Zanmato is going to be behind. So the Vortex is going to need to be on the scouting side of things if he wants to know what's coming. He knows the tech up's going to be similarly matched in this mirror matchup. 2 high-level players. Maybe the build was a bit different. The tech up times will probably match up. What he doesn't know is that his opponent went eco. And is going to get quite a lot of value straight away, right? Because he's already got the mill set up. You can see the Imperial Academy's in range of the mining camps. This is the cool concept of going for the Imperial Academy so early, by the way. It's before you've got all this infrastructure pollution, right? Where there's houses left, right, and center, and there's a racks here or there. And maybe like you're not getting the buildings in the range of Imperial Academy that you want. At this early stage, he can slot everything inside it that he wants to have inside it. And that does mean they're going to generate a lot of income. So Viper and Zanmato basically mirror their timings within a few seconds. And immediately into an archer range from Zanmato. So this is where he can potentially punish if he spots this. It's going to take a long time to get across the map, though. And considering how quickly China can boom at this stage from the Imperial Academy this early, I wouldn't be surprised if we see the Barbican landmark built before Zanmato is able to amass archers and get into Viper's base. the meantime, though, Zanmaru will discover by whoopsie the base of Viper. You can see he did not expect it to be stationed here. This is a pretty nutty spawn in a lot of ways, really. There are these small choke points you can move through, but it's fairly well retracted, right? If we compare it to what Zanmaru got, like, Vortex kind of got robbed. Like, he's on a... I'll give him this. He's on a high ground, yeah? But there's wide spaces to move into. Choke point's kind of nice. A lot of open ground here. It's very tight. It's very hard to kind of slide in unnoticed for where Viper is, right? But definitely the high ground is an advantageous thing that Zanmaru is getting more so than Viper is, I'd say. Yeah, immediate walls. So this is what I was saying. These choke points are so easy to cover. So you'll just be forced into the center. And if he's going for the Bargain of the Sun, he can easily cover one side. Probably wants... knowing Viper, Viper is really good at using his landmark, the Barbican Sun landmark, to expand his eco lines. So I 100% expect the Barbican to go down on the south side, so that he has a keep to cover his gold and stone expansions, and then wall off the north side if need be. Meanwhile, Vortex, what do I expect out of him in this situation? He looks like he could be stationed and prepped to go for the Song Dynasty. I wouldn't be against the Imperial Academy coming out in this situation. He's invested a reasonable amount in archers, but I think he cuts off here. I think this map takes too long to reach your opponent's base to just keep spamming out archers in small groups of 6. Your opponent will have time to react. But it's all about forcing Viper to react. That's the important detail, because right now he's being greedy. And I think this was spotted out because we did just have Vortex recently scouting, and he's going to see it again. And the importance of this is it's going to feed back the information that his opponent is going for a second TC, which we can see Viper has the resources for, and will probably build very soon. Yeah, Vortex is going to sneak in, sees, that's not that many people working on gold, so what's he going for? Sees the archery range now. This is where it gets wonky to try and keep committing with these archers. And now look, he spots out the stone outcropping, he sees the exposed eco, but he sees he's about almost outnumbered, right? It's just the same amount of archers here, which means that Vortex not really going to get much value out of this assault anymore. I don't want to see him doubling down, I want to see him teching up. God, sometimes I don't know what that was, guys. The panning is really odd in this. I've noticed that. Sometimes it's really infrequent the way middle mouse pan control works in Age of Empires. Hopefully, within the first year, most of these quality of life things get fixed. Especially, I'd love to see some things change for spectating tools. That would be beautiful. For example, like key bindings, I can do this. I can switch players. I can switch vision. I can even go free camera or player's perspective. Oh, God. Guys, you want to see what Viper's doing right now? I feel like this isn't 100% accurate. Somewhat accurate, but not 100%. Feels really weird when we're not having the key bar, the thingy change, right? I don't mind the idea of player perspective, even in games like this where it's intense, but at least make sure that we're seeing the whole experience, so like what they're selecting and everything. We just don't get that right now. But yeah, those are more or less the only things I can customize. That and speed. You literally can't even have a keybind for pausing and unpausing the game. You have to go click it. And these tabs here. This would be nice, actually. I'd love to have some of these. This is just turning into a review of the observing tab, isn't it? There's not much happening at the moment, other than the TC that's going to go down. The problem is that Zanmaru didn't really spot this. I think he was pushed out before he could get eyes on it, right? Because there was an aggressive push out from Viper. So this covers his expansion. He's going towards the north. Barbican is going down the south like we called. See, this is what he likes to do. He's always about using his Barbican to cover forward eco lines. It's never about like protecting main base. It's never about like holding a forward choke point. It's all about playing somewhere between like what we sometimes see out players where they just move really far forward and maybe cover like this crossing here, and players who literally park it right next to their TC. He just wants to make sure that, just like an outpost basically, it's just a big fat outpost. He has somewhere to retreat his villagers if they get attacked. You know, you compare that to this one, right? This Barbican, this is not a bad one either. I feel like the Vortex has a similar idea, where you can see he's got the forward eco expansions covered. Even the deer up here, which I'm glad he's gathering on the deer. His opponent's definitely doing the same with the TC drop. The problem that you have right now for your Vortex is you haven't actually scouted out that your opponent has gone for the TC, and you only just got the Imperial Academy. So you're actually being outpaced heavily now by Viper. And in fact, if we look at the eco front, Viper now up at 33. Zanmaru, so Vortex has 36. He has got the villager advantage at the moment, but this is about to change drastically. With Song Dynasty being achieved and 2 TCs, this is where Vortex will start to fall behind heavily. And this is why he needs a solution. Probably Horseman wouldn't be a bad way to go, just get in for some early pressure. The problem I have even with that is, right now in a lot of ways, Viper's kind of positioning, the way he's stationed himself and built his base, is very hard to pierce into. There isn't really a sneak entrance. There isn't a wide entrance either, right? Like, Barbican covers this entire entry. On the north side, you're going to have, you know, this TC as a retreat point very close by. So until Viper moves away from the deer and the bush line as well as the tree line, you don't actually have an easy way of sniping him out. And now with the village going down as well. So just min-maxing efficiency on the housing. This will also reveal, but the kind of mistake of this in some ways is that Viper has revealed that he got the Song Dynasty, right? That being said, I think you expect your opponent to have it, right? If you're Vortex, you're playing China, you know how good it is. You haven't seen any aggression outside of defensive force. You know that you've both gone for Song Dynasty. But it just definitely confirms it before Zamak has to go deeper to get that information. Yeah, definitely pop cap covered, right? Viper is not going to hit his cap anytime soon. But he's definitely going to look to boom to it. He's already actually reached caught up to Vortex in terms of numbers. And Vortex does know about the second TC. That's the thing. So he needs to either get his own TC or bring in a new military force. And I'm not seeing a new military force, so I am expecting a second TC to be dropped soon. Yeah, these archers are not going to kill these villagers. He got textiles. Just like I said, so many players doing this now. It's so effective. It pays for itself so quickly. And if you've got 2 CCs, you don't really have much of an excuse to not get textiles, in my opinion. Second TC, where's it going to be? There it is, over here. So he did get the second TC in the end. I think that was here 20 seconds ago, maybe. So Vortex will keep up now. Viper slightly, no, basically matched. I think the difference is that, yeah, Viper has got 1 additional Imperial official. That's why he doesn't have an edge there. But I love the way that they're just reacting to each other and instantly countering out, right? Stopping any advantage building. First of all, when we saw Vortex coming in, Viper already anticipated and had a small archer army ready. And then when we see the second Villi line coming up with the second TC, we immediately then see Vortex do the same. Difference being that Vortex is pushing towards the center. And that's why I like his moves a little bit better than Viper's right now, is Vortex is slowly just crawling towards these center gold veins. While for Viper, you know, it's because of his positioning, because he got the more central one, his TC isn't that close to the center, right? That's what's causing it. I do love this out of him, though. The astronomical clock tower on the front line, because he can easily wall this off, right? He can easily protect this expansion. He can have this as a full military base. And when you're talking about these slow, static moving armies, you want to be close to the center so you can react quicker and control the inevitable point in the game where maybe the gold veins basically dictate who wins or loses. I think, yeah, matching time. Dude, this is mirror everything. They're so in sync. There's a small difference, right? But it's so negligible. Just look at this. Castle Age, Castle Age. I feel like this is reaching a point where, like, you're going to have this one big fight, and it's going to come down to microing, because these two have been so on point with how they match up against each other up to this point so far. It's really cool to watch. So, yeah, Springwell's starting to come out, and Rax is being built now. So, is this just going to be the Spearman Springwell spam? Nah, it should be Palace Guard, I reckon. Palace Guard Springwell spam would be the call here. Now, is Viper going to do the same? No, he's going for the Lances. Okay, this is going to be big. This is a critical moment. Because remember, vision is limited here. If he starts building into man-at-arms, I'm going to give a huge edge to Viper. Because the time it will take you to react and then go into spears is going to be too late. You would have already lost the critical fight. So yeah, that's the difference, right? Viper right there. That scout going in, getting that vision, didn't show the rack, so he doesn't 100% know. That's what he was looking for, is he wanted to see if there was a production of spear or man-at-arms. Or Palace Guard, rather. But he at least now knows his opponent is doing Springwells as well. There's no kind of weird play around, you know, instead of going astronomical clock tower, going for the alternative. Not that they would have expected it. And he knows where his opponent is at on the siege front, right? And that's why he stonewalls here. Because he's not actually on the same level just yet. If you look at it, he actually hasn't even started building into these Springwells because he's building into the Lancers. So Stonewall the north, moves across to the south. It is going to be palisaded up, so he won't have a sneak in. And these are really easy choke points for Vortex to hold. He can even have a secondary choke point line if he sees that the first one starts to get breached. Right now, TheViper. What is the call? Are you going to switch into Springwells, or is it just more Lancers? So it's Lancers into center expansion gold vein. And this is where the difference comes in. This is where Viper is going to get a quality army. And I don't know, Vortex, what are you doing? It is Palace Guard. Oh, I was so worried that this was going to happen. Because he hasn't been scouting anymore. He hasn't been able to get out, right? I feel like he hasn't even been trying. Like, he's got double TC. He doesn't have a stable. But he has no scouts. He has 0 scouts. And that's the difference, right? And this This right here, guys, do this more often. This is something I've barely seen players doing on French Pass. It is so important. Scout the generation, scout the routes up top, and drop outposts on these high grounds so that you get a huge buffer to your vision game and thus have that early recon on what's coming your way. So few players have been utilizing this, and it's been driving me bonkers because it's so important. This map, this is the only one, by the way. It's only this one, and then it's this one, but like, while you could use this as Vortex, obviously it's expanded here with the TC already, so it wouldn't matter as much. So archers do spot out the Palace Guards. So this is where you have to be comfortable with your Viper. You've made the right call. You've anticipated what your opponent was going to do, and you pivot in a way that he's not going to be ready for what's coming for him. Because when he arrives in your base with that static force of Palace Guard and Spring Olds, doesn't matter how many there are, if you keep the Lancer production up, you're going to run him through. Oh, by the way, another cool trick you can do, like in these type of spots, right? Vision is hard to obtain up here. If you run up to this top here and put this outpost would be here forever. It would give you info further on the game. It's 100 wood for the opportunity to keep vision much past the point where, like, you know, you originally place it. You could even do it with scouts. And in fact, we did see an amazing game where one of the players done it with a scout on the top side and spotted out the tech boom attempt, right? So just the importance of vision. I just love to iterate that so much in this series because I feel like whilst talked about, it's not exactly... Like, while many people talk about how important vision is, there's a difference between telling you something's important and showing you why it's important. Moving in. Vortex. Sees the gold line. They're trying to get into the fort, and none of them die! The power of textiles, folks. And there's the Lancers, so that's revealed. Palace Guard going to stand their ground, though. There's just not enough Lancers here. What is the move right now? Viper, where is his line? So, okay, so he's got the Lancers wrapping around here. Outnumbered in his base. Where is the army? Oh, no. Wait, what? Where is the army? He went for the tech up instead, so he is an in-page. But he has got an army in his base, and he hasn't continued Lancer production. And he put them in the wrong place. If they were here, this would have been big brain, but while he has got the age advantage, he now needs to buy enough time to get it out. And I think he might be able to do so just on the courtesy of, like, this army isn't big enough to burst through all the villages. And look at the wraparound. So he's cutting off reinforcements. There's a keep drop in the center that's going to be coming out from Viper as well. Looking to control around this area, and he's trying to take the sacred sites as well as he has priests. Meanwhile, Springles continue to trickle in. Lance is being sniped one by one, and he's going for the scouts. Nice pivot play by Viper. He needs cannon fodder. He just needs to get straight on top of these Springles, because once they die, the Palace Guard do nothing here. And once again, just look, trying to run past this. Vortex taking heavy damage to your units as he runs through here. So scouts, just trying to mass them up. Lancers are regrouping. This could screw Vortex entirely. Like, military-wise, he's stopped trickling now. He knows he's out tech, so he kind of has to get huge value at the moment, or he's going to be completely out of this game. I think he's begun the tech up now. I hope he has. Please tell me he has. No, his resources are just spent. What's going on here? No way he invested that heavily. This is it then. This is everything for him. Vortex on the edge of the abyss and looking in, and it looks like Viper is going to sneak up behind him and give him one big fat push into the hole. As the wrap round with the Lancers, the push out with the villagers and the scouts as well is enough to wipe out the Springles, and with it, well, Vortex's whole economy is wiped. Even though his eco was never directly sniped, he has nothing left to fight back with, and he calls GG. What a way to win in the end. We talked about how it would come down to this. It would be one moment, one reveal of a hand, and it looked not too bad for Vortex when he caught Viper completely out of position. But Viper, with the patience, with the pivot into scouts, gets the units out quick enough that there is no way in hell Vortex can rebuttal him, and there is no way he can bounce back in this. Viper will take the victory. Okay, hey guys, welcome back. Just a little bit of post-game analysis here. I'm not sure if I'm going to make this too frequent of an occurrence here with these videos, but I thought it was a really great match to actually go back and do this with, because there's a lot of details going on in this final minute that we can't actually fully highlight, because of course we're prioritizing the fight in Viper's own base, Vortex's forward force, right? And hopefully this gets resolved with a future patch soon when we can just not be pulled out of game straight away at the end of a replay. Because there's actually a lot going on here, right? So we credit Viper for the quick switch over into the scouts and how he defend himself in the base. But there's actually a lot more elements going on here and a lot more things that Viper is actually managing, not just this retracted siege right where he's pushing his opponent out of his base. While he's doing this, he's simultaneously not only taking up the center, but beginning to set up a forward base of which he can push an army forward with after he wins the fight his base. And actually, even with all that information, even with the fact we see that Vortex's economy has been pretty spent, as we mentioned in the cast, I imagine a lot of you thinking, why the hell did Vortex tap out of this? There's another good reason on top of this, right? It isn't just that he's lost his force here. It isn't just that he knows he's walled in on the north side. It's that he gets walled in on the south side. That's why the treacle stopped. You can actually see it as well, where he just rolled out these spring walls, but he doesn't notice quick enough. The spearman doesn't do good enough of a job, and he basically gets shut out and trapped inside his own base. So Vortex tapping out. I'm sure a few people are going to argue he went out way too soon in this game. I would say that in a competitive setting, when they're playing for money on the line, I agree. I think there's an argument if it's a best of 3 and it's the first game, maybe he lets it go. If it's the deciding game, you know, you fight that out until the end. But I think from a pub playing perspective, you've learned a lot from this match. You've seen the matchup, the mirror matchup, China versus China. You know you're behind, and while it could be cool to try and come back into this, and it'd probably get an epic feeling, right, if you managed to go 30 more minutes and came back against someone like TheViper. The reality, I think, for Vortex in this situation is when you're playing a long day of games, you're playing 9, 10+ games, the last thing you want is halfway through your day to be on complete tilt because you wasted, in your eyes, an extra half an hour of your day trying to come back into a game. And I think that's kind of what we see here. He knows he's on the back burners. He knows there's a lot he could have improved upon. And I think from Vortex's perspective, he probably just wants to learn from that aspect of the game, focus on the first 20 minutes, instead of becoming obsessed with what could have happened 30 minutes later, and then he's got even more to digest. It's definitely, I think, the right approach, and I think that's why we still GG. But I just wanted to highlight this because I think it was incredible from Viper, the way he was managing the defense of his base, the pivot in terms of his unit types being produced back there, as well as setting up the 4 base and walling in his opponent. So just a well-earned victory out of Viper, and round of applause for him.